Hello everybody, here Rene from Spain again, and in this video I want to show stuff by UDO DIRKSCHNEIDER, one of my favorite vocalists, for sure of many of you too. But I'm only going to show stuff from 1990 till 1999. His 90s days, you know, like he's still going strong. I really love his last album, for example. But in the 90s, you know, it was a magic time for me. You know, I was a lot younger than I'm now, of course. And when I discovered him, you know, in the late 80s with his first two solo albums, and then later during the 90s, you know, it was so special. I saw them live, and then later the ACCEPT reunion, you know, when they made Objection Overruled in '93. There was an amazing comeback, you know, for ACCEPT, and it was just amazing. And I love also the UDO records from the 90s. They are so great. Okay, let's start with the first one. This is Faceless World by UDO or UDO. This was the third solo album by him. And here we have the great song Heart of Gold, of course, on it. It's a very famous song by him. And this is just a great album, you know. Living on the Front Line is an amazing song. So many great songs. Then we have a little bit underrated, I think, from his first. When we talk about the first albums, you know, a lot of people don't talk about this one. This is Timebomb from '91. Great record. I bought this in Alicante. I still remember exactly where I bought this album. I love it. I always love this album. Got so many great songs. Metal Eater, for example, is an amazing song. Or Timebomb, you know, the title track. Soldiers of Darkness. Just a great album this is. It's really incredible. It was his fourth album, solo album. Actually, I should have showed this a little before, because before Timebomb came out, they released this by ACCEPT, and this already came out on VHS, but and also the EP was out back in '85. But this was the first time that all this concert in Japan was released. And here we have the story of the band too. You know, the story of everything of till then. See, staying alive, and this made a lot of people talk about ACCEPT again. You know, because UDO, of course, left ACCEPT back in '86 after crazy Russian Roulette album. And then, of course, they got this older singer, and of course, they released the record with him. What's the name of the record? Face the Heat? Not Face the Heat, but something like that. Anyway, also I have the record, of course. And ACCEPT went solo. But when in 1990, you know, this came out in '91, '92, people started talking a lot about ACCEPT. And finally, they had a reunion. And the first album they released, that was in '93, was Objection Overruled. And this, to me, is an amazing record. I mean, here we have a lot of songs. They made video clips of these songs too, like Protectors of Terror. They made a cover. They made an video clip, or Slaves to Metal. You know, it's just a great record. You know, of ACCEPT. One of my favorite ACCEPT records. And definitely my favorite from the 90s. I also have this kind of a single, maxi single, All or Nothing. Of course, this was a song from that album. Then they made a second comeback album, you know, the second album after the comeback. And that was Death Row in '94. And in '96 they did Predator. If you put the best songs from this album and the best songs from this album together, it makes a great record. But not all the songs are great on here, and that's why the level of the quality goes down, because there's too many songs on here on each of these albums, and not all the songs are great. The Beast Inside is a great song, for example, and I can hardly see it because it's very dark. Heart Attack is a good song. Crossroads is a good song. Run Through the Night. I mean, this third album since the comeback is better than this one. But if you put them both together, both albums together, then it's really, really a great album. It would make a great album. You know, the best song from each album would have made it a great album. And then, before UDO DIRKSCHNEIDER went solo again, they released this live album. You know, this double live album was released in 1997. Here we have songs, of course, from these three albums that I showed you, from ACCEPT, like Slaves to Metal, Bulletproof, Sodom and Gomorrah, The Beast Inside, Stone Evil, Death Row. Those are from those albums I named. But then UDO went solo and he did first this album. This is the first album he did after ACCEPT was finished. Solid. And it is a solid album. Then the second he did, 98. He did one each year. 97, 98, No Limits. But the best thing UDO did, you know, in solo, from Solid, you know, from these two albums, this was the best. This was the third album he did after the split of ACCEPT, and this is an amazing, amazing album that everybody should own in their collection. Holy by UDO. Metal is our religion. It came out in 1999, and this is a must-have on Nuclear Blast. It's a must-have. It's a great, amazing album with only good songs on it. I love this album. I love the artwork. I love the way he sings the songs. I love everything about this record. That's why, to me, the best things UDO did in the 90s was Holy back in 99, Objection Overruled in 93, and Timebomb in 91. These three albums is the best thing he did during the 90s, when a lot of people were saying that traditional heavy metal was dead. Fuck those people! You know, traditional metal, heavy metal was 100% alive. In the magazines, at least in Europe. You know, in the magazines a little less. But in our hearts, and in the records, and also live, you could see all these bands like Running Wild, Rage, UDO, of course, Motorhead, Saxon, Merciful Fate, King Diamond, Riot, Anvil. All those bands were keeping traditional heavy metal alive back in 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. Of course, 97 we got a lot of new bands that came out too, you know, like Hammerfall, October 31, Skullview, you know, those bands, Twisted Tower Dire, Premonition, Hanker, Aska. Of course, Aska already started earlier, and Hanker too. But anyway, traditional heavy metal never died, never, okay, and it will never die, because we are here to defend it forever, okay, buying new records, going to concerts of bands like Hidden, Iron Curtain, Cauldron, Skullfist, Enforcer. And by doing this, by buying the records and going live, going see these bands live, buying fanzines, trading tapes, you know, by still doing this, we will always keep traditional heavy metal alive, at least in the underground. Stay metal, everybody!